Hey guys, what's up? So on April this very same year, 2018, I made a video about my JRPG collection. I had finally reached 100 games, well a little more than that, and I wanted to show you guys what I owned as a collector because I am a collector. And well, it's been a while since I made that video, and I've never done one of those famous pickups video. And I thought I would do one because, like I said, I've never done this before, and I've always wondered what would it be like to do such a video. And I've gotten some pretty interesting stuff here, right here with me, that I wanted to share with you. And let's do it. I mean, this is my first time, so if I screw this up, don't be too upset. So April 2018, so it's been over 6 months since I made that video. So some of the games you saw there, I don't know, like 5 or 6 games have gone away because I usually collect games that I don't really plan on keeping it. So for this video I left most of those out. I think I have here like a couple that maybe I don't really plan on keeping them, but the rest are now they do belong now to my collection and they're never coming out. Anyway, let's begin. Let's start with this one. This is Crash Team Racing. This is a game that is a very important part of my childhood, and this is a game that you saw on my previous video of the PlayStation Classic. And well, I wanted to start with this one to get it out of the way because I don't know if I'm planning on keeping this game for one reason. It doesn't work. Yeah, but there's a huge story behind it that I wanted to share with you, just so I can see if you have gone through something similar, because what happened to me with this game is very weird, but shit happens. If you don't know, for those who don't know, I am a reseller. I have been a video game reseller for over 9 years, and I've seen some shit, man. I'm just kidding. I've seen some weird things happen, and seeing this, where it was still weird, and it was still a little bit shocking, but these things happen. Okay, so what happened? I found this game on one of those shops, another reseller shop. And well, the disc, I don't know if you can see it right here. You won't be able, probably, I don't know. No, it reflects the whole background. The thing is that it's scratched, heavily scratched, and it looks as if it has been polished. So they didn't have any way to test this game for me. So I took my chances and bought it. So I came home, and well, they said the game worked. They guaranteed the game worked. And when I got home, I put it on my PS3. It never got past from the loading screen. I gave it several tries, over and over again. It just didn't work. I took out my PS2, I connected it, and the same thing happened. So I went to my friend's house, and he put it on his PS3, it didn't work. He put it on his PS1, it didn't work. So 4 consoles, to me that was like, the game doesn't work. So I went with these guys, and I took the game, and I told them, the game doesn't work. And guess what? It fucking worked. On their PS3, like nothing. They put it and it worked the first try. I remember a long time ago, when I got a copy of Final Fantasy IX, I already had mine, and in my PS3 that copy worked just fine. But the client I sold that game to, that copy to, came back a couple of days later to my shop, and he said it doesn't work. And I was completely sure that the game worked. So we had an issue. I told him I can't do anything, the game works. And I took out another PS3 there that I have, and I proved it to him. It works, as you can see right here, it works. So the client left disappointed. And now I know what it feels like this was a weird experience, but if this game doesn't work in my consoles, I don't think I can still call it a part of my collection, because the last thing I can do, my last attempt to make this work, because this is a great game, this is my favorite karting game of all time, is to repolish it, to take it to someone who knows how to polish discs, especially PS1 discs, and if after that it works, then it's a win-win situation. If it doesn't, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with it. But I can't just really call this a part of my collection yet. Okay, so next are two games that I'm not gonna talk about these games because I already made two complete videos about them. Two vlogs, as people call them nowadays. Usually my Sunday videos are these vlogs, video vlogs, and I made a video exclusively for these two games, but these weren't in my collection on April on that video. So these are Persona 5 and Dragon Age Inquisition. I was about to say Dragon Quest. Persona 5 and Dragon Age Inquisition. So I already talked about these two, and this has been going on, appearing in my videos, in some of my videos for quite some time, so I don't want to talk about this. These are technically old games in my collection. My earliest picks, for so to say. Okay, so now let's start with Maximum Carnage. Yeah, this is another part of my childhood, a very important part of my childhood, and there's yet another great story behind this game, because when I was like 15 years old, all we had was our Super Nintendo. Our NES wouldn't work anymore, so we didn't have the PlayStation 1 or the Nintendo 64 like many other people did, or the Game Boy Advance. All we had was the Super Nintendo. So my brother and I will usually go to flea markets. He will buy other stuff, but I will always take at least one or two cartridges from the Super Nintendo to trade with the local resellers there. And well, here's the story. You're probably gonna hate me for what I did, but I don't regret it because I got this game. So I bought The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I bought it. I didn't trade it, I bought it. And I came back to my house, I played it for like 2 weeks, and I liked the game, but I got stuck. You know, I'm talking about an era where this was 17 years ago. Internet was barely a thing. People had internet, but there were barely any walkthroughs online. It was a different time. So I got stuck in that part where you're turning to a rabbit, and I just didn't know what to do. So I got sick of it, and I went, and you're gonna hate me for this, I traded a perfect mint condition copy of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for a Tiny Toons game called Buster Boasts Loose. Yeah, that's a good game. That game is a good game, but it's nowhere near as good as The Legend of Zelda. And I noticed it right away. I played that game, and about 3 days later, I was sick of it. I just wanted my Legend of Zelda copy back. So the next Sunday, I went to the flea market, and the copy wasn't available anymore, but Maximum Carnage was there. So I traded Buster Boasts Loose for Maximum Carnage, and that was like one of the best decisions I've ever done in my life. This is LJN first, I think, or maybe only good game they did or they published, and it's a great game. I love this. It's a beat 'em up, and it's fantastic. It's brutally hard. I never finished it, even though I got it a couple of months ago back. I just never finished it. It's just so hard. This is a true beat 'em up, my friends. Great game, great soundtrack as well. Okay, so next is a game that one of my fans from Bulgaria sent me. This is Disgaea 3 for the PS Vita. This is currently my first PS Vita game, the only Vita game that I own in my collection, because as you already know, I bought the PS Vita about 2 months ago, and I hacked it, so I haven't been able to purchase or to collect Vita games, because Most of the RPGs that I want are either expensive or are just plain hard to find. The thing is that my friend Janislav from Bulgaria sent me this game all the way to Mexico, so thank you, man, I greatly appreciate it. I haven't played it because I've been busy playing other Vita games because I'm building a second Hidden Gems video. It will take a while, but I'm working on it. And I have also been working on a 3DS Hidden Gems video, so all those games got in the way. But I can't wait to play it. However, the reason it's gonna take a while for me to play this game is because, well, there's two reasons. One, I have never been exactly a fan of Disgaea. The first Disgaea that I played was over 12 years ago. That was Disgaea 2 for the PlayStation 2. I beat it, I loved it. And then sometime later I got the first one, Disgaea Hour of Darkness, also for the PS2. And man, I liked that game, but it was just so hard, so brutally hard and unfair that I just gave up. So that turned me a little away from the Disgaea franchise until a couple of months ago I got this. Oh yeah, I got this. And I played it. I said, well, I'm not a fan of Disgaea. I'm not a fan, but I'm just gonna give it a chance. And I couldn't leave it anymore. I love this game. I fucking love this game. So my love for the Disgaea series has been recently revived thanks to Disgaea 4, A Promise Unforgotten for the PlayStation 3. I suffered through this game because it's also really hard. And I got to the last boss, the final boss, and I never beat it. I gave up. It was just too damn hard. I looked up walkthroughs, guides and all that stuff, and all of the advisors were like, oh, I have to put a lot of hard work into this game. And I have a gigantic backlog of games now that I'm been making these Hidden Gems videos again. So I don't think I have the time to grind for days. Grind and grind and grind until I'm level 200 to be able to beat the fucking final boss here. So, leaving that aside, it's a great game, so I might get into Disgaea 3 anytime soon. Another pickup that I recently picked was Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. The reason I picked this game was not only because it has a lot of great Genesis games, but also because this one has Shining Force 2. I have never played Shining Force 2. This game includes Phantasy Star games from 1 to 4 and Shining Force 1 as well. And I think it includes Shining in the Darkness. But don't hate me for saying this, but I really disliked Shining in the Darkness. Shining Force, however, I loved it. I played it on the Genesis a long time ago, never finished it. And then I played it sometime later on the Game Boy Advance, and I beat it, and I loved it. I love Shining Force, so I can't wait to play Shining Force 2. I usually don't buy these, how do you call them in English? Well, collections. But the only reason I did it is because it has Shining Force 2, and because I don't have a Genesis, so it's kind of pointless for me to buy a Genesis copy just to play Shining Force 2, so I'd rather have this instead. And speaking of that, of buying games for consoles that I don't own, I have been collecting for the PS4, rarely and barely, but I have. And one that I recently got was Exist Archive. I talked about this game in my Hidden Gems video for the Vita. It was number 2. And, well, here's the thing. I don't know if you share this mentality or not. I guess it's still a matter of perspective. Everyone has their own ways of collecting games. But when it comes to games that were released for a portable console and for a TV console like the PS4, I would rather have the TV console copy instead of the portable one. Why is this? Because I prefer a million times playing games on the TV than on a very small screen on my hands. So that's the reason I have this version and not the Vita version. So I already talked about this game. It's a great turn-based RPG. This is a game that was made by Tri-Ace, and since I'm guessing Tri-Ace kinda wanted to make a third well, a fourth Valkyrie profile game, but since Square Enix holds the rights to Valkyrie profile, unfortunately, so they wanted to use the same battle system and the same similar gameplay mechanics from Valkyrie profile, and they ended up creating a whole new game. Exist Archive has nothing to do with Valkyrie profile, but the gameplay mechanics, some of the gameplay mechanics and the battle system are quite similar, so people are calling this game a spiritual successor to the Valkyrie series. And well, from what I played about this game, they're right. Next is another game for the PS4. I got this for like $4 and brand new, so I wasn't just gonna let it go. It's not exactly an RPG, but it's more like it has RPG elements on it. It's a strategy turn-based game from a company called Frozen Byte. It's an indie game, I guess. It's called Has Been Heroes. Yeah, this is weird, man. You probably didn't know this game existed. And it's fairly new, it came out this year. So, how do I explain this game? Like I said, it mixes strategy with turn-based and real-time. Not in the Grow Lancer style, no. It's more like you're in these 2D panels, and the point of the game, these battles is to create combos, to use one character to stun an enemy, and then use the next one, switching it with the controller buttons to deal not a finishing blow, but a blow. Otherwise, if you keep attacking with the same character, nothing happens. So this is one of those games that it takes a long while to get used to them because they're so freaking complicated. The buttons, the controllers are a mess. It's really hard to connect your mind to your fingers and constantly switch between characters to create all these combos and these battles. So it's a really weird game, and that's why I decided to pick it up and to keep it. Just because of that. I like collecting weird games that nobody talks about, and this is one of them. This is a really strange game, so try it out if you see it. It also came out for the Xbox One and the Switch, and like I said, it's just plain weird, but in a good sense. Okay, next is a game that I already had in my collection 2 years ago, but for those who don't know, 2 years ago I sold half of my collection. I had around 150 games, and I had to sell half of them to partly fund a trip that I made to England. So I went to live to the UK for 5 months. I lived in Nottingham. It was a great experience, and I have been collecting since I came back over a year ago. I have been trying to recover all of these games that I had to sell. Atelier Iris 2 was one of them. I had the first one too, but I haven't been able to recover it. And for those who don't know, Atelier Iris was the first Atelier Saga games from the already popular Atelier Saga. There's been trilogy after trilogy. There's a trilogy for the PS2, which was the first one, and then there was two trilogies for the PS3, and then there have been new games for the Vita and the PS4. I don't know about those. Although the first Atelier something game was the Atelier Iris franchise, and they're all turn-based RPGs. These games also include alchemy and synthesizing stuff, gathering materials and all that stuff, but they're more battle-oriented than the PS3 trilogies. I know the second trilogy for the PS3 called the Dusk Trilogy is also more battle-oriented and adventure-oriented, but these are like more standard, more classic RPGs. So I'd say it's like 80% battle and adventure than gathering and synthesizing. But great games. Out of the three Atelier Iris games, this one's my favorite, and in my opinion it's the best Atelier game ever made. So I had to recover it. Next is a game that I already talked about. I made a video called Top 10 Rarest Games in My Collection quite a while ago. And by rarest, I didn't exactly mean expensive or really hard to find. Just rare games, unknown, that nobody gives a damn, that maybe you've seen this game but it looks a little generic, maybe it doesn't, and that is Haunted the Demon's Forge. I beat this game a couple of months ago, and I gotta say, just like Has Been Heroes, I mean, it doesn't have complicated mechanics and all that stuff, but it takes a while to get used to the controls because they're kind of bad at first. But once you get the gist of it, you are going to love this game. It's not an RPG, it looks like an RPG, but it's not. It's just an action game. You beat this in like 10 hours or so. And it's really good because it has a lot of action that doesn't require just swinging your sword or shooting arrows. It has a lot of strategy, so that's what got me into this game. That's why I managed to beat it, because I managed to like it and beat it because I really like it. There's a tons of fan service here, like both female characters are heavily sexualized. But hey, if you don't care about that, I didn't care, and because I enjoy the game. So if you don't care about that, pick this one up. It's not expensive, I think it's one of those $15-20 games. So I'm recommending this game, it's really good. And it's published by Bethesda, famous company Bethesda. Okay, my last three. First, I'm gonna show you another game that I picked recently, and that I talked about in my top 10 most unknown PS2 JRPGs, part 2. And that is Orphan, Scion of Sorcery. Now this game, this is one of those cases where most people hate the game, and I don't. The thing is that it's very generic. This is one of the most generic RPGs I've seen in my life. But it's one of those games that have a lot of charm, and I don't know, the moment you start playing it, you immediately notice it's also very weird, very complicated mechanics, just like Has Been Heroes. And once you get the gist of them, there's a battle tutorial at the beginning of the game. It's optional, but I highly suggest you play it because otherwise you won't be able to understand what the hell you have to do to beat this game, to play the battles. So it's really complicated, but the thing about this game is that, I don't know, something charmed me about it, something that was really interesting. I don't know, it's one of those games that are so bad, they're good. I don't know if that makes sense. That's the kind of game Orphan is. I wouldn't call this a hidden gem, but it's definitely something that, I don't know, for $10, maybe you should pick up to just have the experience of playing one of those weird games. Next is another game that as Atelier Iris 2, which I recently learned Atelier is not pronounced Atelier or Atelier, they're pronounced Atelier. It's a French word, so just like Atelier Iris 2, I already had 2 years ago Dragon Quest VIII. You already know I'm not a huge fan of this franchise, but if I had to pick my one Dragon Quest game that I really loved and I really liked, and I never beat, I got to the final boss and never beat it, and that's Dragon Quest VIII. It was the first one that was called Dragon Quest. Before this, all of them were called Dragon Warrior, and there's a long story behind it. It involves trademarks and copyright stuff, so that's why Dragon Quest games have always been called Dragon Quest, but it's just when North America localized the first Dragon Warrior for the NES, they changed the name to Warrior. From what I know, it was because of that, to avoid copyright with other things called Dragon Warrior, and also maybe because Dragon Quest just didn't sound as appealing as Dragon Warrior. But that's just theory of mine. I don't need to talk about this game, everybody knows Dragon Quest VIII. It was the game that popularized the entire franchise outside Japan. Before that, maybe a handful of people knew the games, but this was the game that skyrocketed the series, and I guess it's the one we need to thank for getting the Dragon Quest franchise to worldwide success. My last game, I saved this for last because I am planning, for those who don't know, nobody knows actually, except my patrons maybe, I am planning a second part of Hidden Gems for the PS3. And I recently got this game I know nothing about this game. I haven't played it, and that is Fairy Fencer F. I have no clue. When I was looking for the gameplay, I saw a gameplay, and that is the one you're seeing right now. And okay, it looks good, but seriously, I know nothing about this game, so this is going to be a surprise for me. That is why I left it for the end. So if you know something about this game without spoilers, please share in the comment section below. Do you think, my question to you is, do you think this game could be a hidden gem for the PS3? Is it really popular? Is it that popular? Is it not that hidden? What kind of game is this? I mean, is it a candidate for a hidden gems video? Would you like to see this game in a hidden gems video? Let me know in the comment section below, because I know nothing about this, and I'll probably start playing it once I finish The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky second chapter, which I recently praised in my top 10 best PSP RPGs. And I beat the first one a long time ago, and I played like 10 or 15, I played like 15 hours of The Legend of Heroes second chapter a long time ago as well, and I recently went back to it, and I'm really near the end. So once I beat that guy up, next on the list is Fairy Fencer F. So I'll see for myself if this game has enough potential to be a hidden gem. That's it, guys. That's my pickups video. Sorry this took so long. Thankfully I didn't pick like 20 or 40 games like Metal Jesus does. His videos take like an hour or something. So sorry this took so long, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what games you have picked recently or over the past few months. Let me know what games are you planning to keep. Let me know what games disappointed you, because I have picked games, I didn't show them on this video, I have picked games for the past few months that they just didn't convince me, and I sold them or I traded them for the other games. So these are my picks. Most of these games are probably stick in my collection, and the only one, well, let's just see what happens with Crash Team Racing, because this game is awesome. It's amazing, the best karting game ever made, in my opinion. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time.